Okay, so, and on this side, we have anyone? I'll remind you what we were talking about. I'll bring us all back. And the question is, how many of you know you're jamming your healing and it just doesn't? What do you tell yourself when you're doing it? What are your excuses? Doesn't matter, we've got time, we've got this, we got that. What are you doing as an excuse?
I don't have a lot of excuses, but there's a lot of self-pity.
We got a self-pity. What's your flavor?
Oh, a whole mixture of it.
Pick one.
I have a very busy mind, a very active mind, and
And you're only young. Wait till you get older.
yeah.
And you
Looking forward to
refine
it.
that.
Yeah.
And then we forget it. Then there's the next time. And all that work for nothing. It just slips out.
No, I just I watch my thought patterns.
Your what?
And my thought patterns.
Your thought patterns,
And see where my thoughts go, and then judge them. A lot of it has a lot to do with judgment. And then judge them and say, I shouldn't think like that. Don't think like that. Don't think like that. And then there's the self-pity and the guilt of, I do think like that. I shouldn't blame. I shouldn't judge. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do that.
On the other hand, here's the other way to look at it. But I should. I'm so good at it.
It's very true. Ask me to judge anything. I'm good at it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we got it. Okay. Well, okay, so you see, this is what I loved about healing when I looked at why people don't heal, which is we basically have a problem with healing. And that's that very few people actually want to heal. Part of the problem with healing is that it's not appealing. It's actually not appealing. So one of the things I'm going to just ask you to take a look at tonight, just to think about, is what do you really want? What is it you're really seeking? If, for example, you had this experience, if you had the experience of an interior vision in which you were asked a question, which is, what is it you want? What is it you want? How would you answer that? How would you deeply and profoundly answer that question? Just peace? Just to be. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but that's for you to know. Be-ness, whatever that means for you. But I wouldn't answer it that fast. It did. I thought I just asked the question.
Well,
But hey, it's time warp.
the question's been asked to myself for a long time, so,
Okay,
and you happen to ask the same question today.
but I did.
Yeah.
And I asked it in a different atmosphere. And I asked you to just think about it tonight.
Okay.
And you answered too fast. So you didn't think about it. Because I asked it. Not
That's
you.
correct.
Okay. When you think about this question, you put it within the whole framework of what is it that I am really looking for? What is it that I'm willing to release? Take a look at the whole of your life and think, what is it you're looking for at this stage in your life? And you think, if you actually had a vision this evening, and the question was put to you, what is it that you really want? And imagine that that was being asked of you of God, from God. What is it you want in this life? How would you answer? At what level would you answer? What would you say? Would it be an egoless answer? Would it be stuff? Would you answer from the sake of comfort? I want to be comfortable. I want to be safe. Would you answer from wisdom? Which is, I want to learn. Just let me learn. Would it be an answer of service? I want to serve. Would it be an answer of suffering? I don't want to suffer anymore. Would it be sight? I want to see clearly. I just want to see clearly. Would it be disease? Just, I want my illness taken away. And then what would you have? What would be left over? What would be left over? What would be left over? What would you say? Would you say, I want to be comfortable with truth? I want to be comfortable with truth. I want to be able to see clearly and not have that scare me. I want to be able, when I feel and sense something from within, to let it speak to me clearly and not look the other way because I'm afraid of how truth changes my life. I don't want to be afraid of truth. I want you to think about what I just said, because the fear of truth is the root of poison. The fear of truth is the root of poison. Okay. Everything about your intuition is about truth. And the moment you start twisting the dial on your intuition so that you don't feel truth, so you don't want to feel the truth, is the moment you start poisoning yourself. The moment you start poisoning is the moment a disease begins somehow or other to take root in yourself. Let me give you an example. You'd say, I wonder what's wrong with this person, me, this situation, my son, my marriage, this, that, whatever. The moment you ever ask anything, you get an answer, you get a hit. Every part of you answers. Every part of you gets a hit. Every part of you. Your entire being is one huge lightning rod that receives information. One huge lightning rod. You get it through your skin, you get it through your gut, you get it through your perception, you get it through your sensory, you get it. You get it every single way. You're with a good friend and you think, there's something wrong. You may not know what. Just because you don't know what doesn't mean you're not accurate. You are always accurate when you sense that something's wrong. Where you become inaccurate is when you assume it's you. Inaccuracy happens when you assume you are the center of everybody's universe. When you assume you are the sun and the moon, the stars and all the planets of everybody's universe. Is it me? It must be me. Did I do something wrong? Are you mad at me? Shut up. I could be. I probably am, and I should be. Get out. You are not the center of everybody's universe. If you, in the language of Buddha, would stay detached and clear, you'd realize that everybody's bad mood has nothing to do with you. Everybody's life has very little to do with you. And your intuitive hits would be very accurate. And you'd realize this person's in this mood, and it has nothing to do with me. And my intuitive hit about them is very accurate. They are in this mood. The moment you take anything personally is the moment you get contaminated. That's why I was a good intuitive. I took nothing personally. And that was the reason I was such a good intuitive. I didn't take anything personally. That was the reason. I never took anything personally, no matter how anybody was. It was an absolute shield. So whether you were right, wrong, up, down, good, bad, happy, healthy, it didn't matter to me. I had a shield up. The way you were is the way you were. The way I was is the way. It meant nothing to me. You were a database at a distance. I never saw you. You never saw me. It was perfect. And I became laser sharp accurate. That's exactly the way your system operates with all of life all the time. You pick up everything that way. This is the way you are as a solar panel. That's how a solar panel works. And the moment you start thinking and take it personally is the moment you start screwing up all your information. And that's when you start jamming your circuits and all your information goes haywire because you start thinking the information is personal. And that's where it gets jammed. And then you start having panic attacks. And then when someone interacts with you or you interact with yourself, you're afraid of the material. And you think, what's that material I'm getting? And you don't like what's on your solar screen. And so you decide, I don't want to read this. And you put it in a fog, except it's too late. It's already in your database. So now you have to put it in a file as if you didn't read it, but you did. So like, for example, you say, I wonder what's wrong with my son. He's on drugs. Oops, fog, ding. And then what you do is you say to yourself something like, it's his friends, it's school, it's this, it's that. So that information that's essentially in your hunch starts coming to you in slow motion and incarnating into time because you can't take it in 5 seconds, so it comes through in 5 years. It'll still come through, but it comes through at the speed of time instead of the speed of instantaneous. Does that make sense to you? I'm going to reverse that. You could heal at the speed of instantaneous. Most people can't take healing that fast. They can't do it. It's available, but they can't do it. And the reason they can't do it is that it's like there's something in most people's world that they can't handle change at that speed. They've just got to take it. Now, I'm going to give you an example. One woman, I'll never forget this. She's one of the people that made me see this. She had a wonderful marriage, an absolutely wonderful marriage, and she was widowed in her 30s. Her husband had one of those funky, rare, weird cancers. They really had a good marriage. While he was dying, they said their goodbyes to each other, and he said, marry again. Don't spend a lot of time mourning me, but I'll come get you when you're older. Let me be the one to meet you on the other side. So they made that promise to each other. And then he died. But they finished. Do you see what I'm saying? And he said, he says, I don't want to think of you going 2, 3, 4 years all alone. And 6 weeks later, she met someone else, which sounds like, but they completed something. And he released her, and she released him. But their families were mortified. Because from the family's point of view, nobody could heal that fast. She should be in mourning. She should be sad for much longer. How dare you not be sad? Well, it doesn't mean she wasn't sad. But she was not going to be in this deep, dark mourning so that they could be in deep, dark mourning. Because they were in deep and dark mourning. So she went on with this guy and she married him. She was married within 3 months. They were mortified. And actually, at the time, I haven't spoken to her in a long time, but at the time that I did, she was not in communication with his family anymore, her late husband's family. Now she has a new husband, so I don't know what, I haven't been in touch. But at that point, they could not respect anyone who could heal that fast. For them, healing that fast was disrespectful. Okay, now that to me is fascinating. But that's what I'm saying is moving the pieces too fast. Too fast. Now, some part of each of us has a timer about how fast we can handle healing. And you've got pieces of you timed that says, this is how much time I need to deal with this. This is how much time I need to deal with that. When I started to work on this new book, I finally got to a core. You're the first group I'm going to teach this to. All this time that I have been wondering about healing, part of my great mystery with it is that in looking at people who have healed versus people who haven't, one of the things I've identified is that in the way we've set up healing, we've set it up so that therapy and talking about healing is just talking about what's wrong. Talking about who hurt us is not really that helpful. It may feel like it's helpful, and it may be necessary to some extent. But what actual impact does that have on the illness? There's a lot of social impact. It'll build a friends and a support group. But what impact does it have on your immune system? What impact does it have on your disease? It certainly builds a lot of friends. But what actual impact does it have on the illness? Okay? I, for one, have not seen it have a lot at all. And I realized there's something wrong here. There's something wrong. It's necessary to acknowledge that there is a struggling, suffering level. How many times do you have to talk about it? How many times do you have to be through it? There's something is missing. Something is missing. This something more is missing. Okay. And then, when I got to the work of Teresa of Avila and John of the Cross and the dark night of the soul, what I realized is the core of the illness, what we have never looked at, what we've never gone into deeply, 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 which is where we're going tomorrow and the next day, is that the dark night has two levels to it, and we'll deal with that. But the first is the ego, called the active night. And the second is the passive night, which is the soul. And the thing that's so fascinating to me, which is what I finally got, which is all this time I've watched people deal with their illnesses and their grief. I've watched people go through their processing. I've watched all of this. And I realized that we've been dealing more with the ego level of the illness, with the level of what I would call the time, what's the right word? The chronos level, the level of we've been dealing with illness at that level of it's not that you don't want to heal, it's that the best we can do is identify causes, identify pain, identify grief, but that's not the level of timelessness, which is where we need to go. That level of identifying events keeps you locked in the level of the history, the level of time. The level you need to go is the level of timelessness, which is where the soul is. How do you get there? And I would think to myself, I'm not sure how to get anybody there, like entering the castle, until I saw what John of the Cross said. And I finally got it. He's talking about the passive night of the soul. This is all going to make much more sense to you tomorrow when I spell it out in slow motion. But he says that in the passive night of the dark night, that a person encounters the 7 deadly sins. The 7 deadly sins. And as I read that, I thought the 7 deadly sins, 7 chakras, naturally, but I thought that is the source and the core of the soul. That in fact, what that is are the batteries of our chakras. Remember that 500 years ago, that's the only language he had, but the difference between the ego and the soul, these 7 shadow passions, these are why we do what we do, versus the ego, which is what happened to us. You jump into the soul and you have to deal with why things happen, why you do what you do. This is the difference. If you're dealing with an illness at the ego level, you will discuss it from the point of how the world disappointed you, of what happened to you, of what you're judging on the outside, and you will never heal. If you get into the soul, you'll deal with why you're judgmental. And now you'll start healing. Now you'll start healing. You've got to get to the core of why you are who you are. And that is what the journey of the dark night is. But we're going to apply that journey to healing and specifically to excavating. And after the 7 shadow passions, we look at the 7 jewels that are also at your core. 7 jewels of power that I absolutely, the 7 gifts of the Spirit is what they're called. The 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit that are also in your soul. And this is why what I realized is when I hear people talk about, I absolutely know there's something special in me. And now I think these are the gifts of the Spirit that are trying to come through a person. And when I see people who are that feeling we have inside of ourselves, that we're always looking for something, and we're always wandering, and we're always looking for something special. And all the great literature where somebody, just like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, ends up returning to herself. What a person is inevitably looking for is a way to let go, to unlock those 7 gifts in their soul that want to come out in full force. But we don't let them come out because somehow in our interior, deepest interior, we know that if those 7 powers come out in us, they'll reshape our lives in such a profound way that we won't have control over how it reshapes our destiny. And they will reshape our destiny. And that is the grace that completely heals. It is a profound healing that happens. So we're going to go through these shadow passions, and you're going to take them in. And you look at yourself through these shadow passions, because each of us has a deep, 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 deep connection to each of these passions. And they talk to us, these shadows. What you could use as the word sin, not in a punitive way, but every one of us has pride. Everyone has greed. Everyone has a sense of wrath. Everyone. Nobody is without these forces. It's where and how they seep into you. And what I've done is I've put them in certain chakras according to the way John of the Cross lined them up. So I'm going to be speaking to you through the chakras that John lined them up. Walking you through the organs exactly in the way, the power centers as he did. So that we could talk about issues in that way and talk about healing from that way and where grace plays a role. As if I'm teaching you mystical reasoning, to reason and see things like a mystic, not logically, but if you could see the body through the lens of 7 shadows and 7 lights, if you could see, I have the force of compassion in me, the force of the grace of compassion, the grace of harmony, the grace of endurance, and it's not coming through. Why isn't it coming through me? Why isn't it coming through? And you realize it's competing with the shadow. It's competing with the shadow. That you have profound graces in you that you're not drawing on. You're not drawing on because the shadow can be so strong. And what people do is they blame their history. They blame their history on why things aren't working. And at some point, you're going to cut your history and say, no more history. I'll take responsibility for why these shadows are what they are. No more history now. I'm going to manage these shadow passions on my own. And from now on, if I'm using these shadow passions, I have to admit I am choosing to use them in full force or in little force, but I am choosing to use them. Or I'm choosing to heal them, or whatever. But I will never again blame anybody for why my wrath is as it is. Or why my pride or hubris gets hold of me. Are you following me? Because these are the reasons you really, really fall into shadow ways in your life. You are now at your mission control when you're standing in the dark passions. There's no deeper place you can go here. And then there's no lighter place you can go than the 7 jewels. This is like your interior core. Now, questions? Yes. Wait, let Ruby Tuesday get up there.
I have a question about what you said about intuition. You said that if you get the hit at first and you just go straight to it, how do you then know well, you're using your head this time, that you're not judging or trying to control the situation. Say you get a hit from someone, and you want to be able to say this, and without holding back, because that is what it was, or it is.
Well, it depends on your agenda. If you have an agenda to say something to someone because, and you want to hit them with it between the eyes, you're trying to hit them between the eyes.
Yes.
Just because you asked that question, you got a private agenda.
Okay.
Big one. If you got to ask the question, you're out of your league. Okay? When you are doing an intuitive reading, always, 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 you got to practice the whole thing, which is what you say to somebody, you say for their healing. For their healing. If you have this idea that I'm going to say this because this is my personal private agenda with them, and I want to say this because I'm angry or this, if it's motivated by any of the 7 shadows, you're in trouble. Then you know it's personal. It's personal. It has nothing to do with a clean delivery. Nothing. It's motivated by a personal need. If it's motivated by a private agenda, it's contaminated. It's contaminated. That's how you know. It's contaminated. You can feel when you're saying it with a knife in it. There, right there.
Okay. No, I just wanted to ask because I'm a yoga therapist, and sometimes I work with a private client, and living in Scotland, there's no disrespect. The culture, I had people that had breakthrough and saying, "This is not me. Why are you taking me there?" And we just
What do you
go
mean
along.
it's not them? Who is
Because
it?
the shielding, it's just like, there's issues that's coming out. And
Tell them it's them.
okay.
Who else could it be? They think they're possessed by someone?
I
It's
guess.
them. Tell them
Okay.
stop that.
Thank you.
It's you. Stop it. Anyone else? Yeah. It's not them. Jesus. Yeah.
My husband died on June 8th, and he committed suicide.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And thank you for saying that, and it was by hanging. So my hit is, my intuition is, he wanted to go, it's his time to go. But it's like, now what?
Now what? For what? You?
Me.
You're asking me now what for you after your husband committed suicide? In what regard now what? Now what for your healing? Now what for your life? Now what for your what? Now what for how you reconcile? Now what for
How to
prayer?
reconcile-
Now what for finish
How
your
to reconcile that he's, it's just not, it's that it's not all about me. I know that. And just reconcile the human part that still misses the person and it just seems like it's a journey that I'm on, and that's all I know. I mean, I don't even have a question to really say. It's just innately, my hit is, okay, it's not about you. He did what he did. Now you're supposed to do something and you'll figure it out. But humanly, I still miss him and wish he was still here.
No, all the above are true.
Yeah,
It's not about you, it is about you.
yeah.
It is about you because your husband committed suicide. It's not about you, it wasn't your death. It is about you, your husband committed suicide. You're left to live here, he moved on. You have to figure out your life now. He broke a contract with you. He wasn't supposed to do that. Okay, so all of the above is true. It's going to take time for you to figure out your way through a trauma that is beyond reason. Suicide is beyond reason. That's one of those traumas that falls into the category like the murder of a child, like a number of things, child abuse, that is beyond reason. What were the reasons for this? We don't have reasons. This is that category of events that in the human condition fall into the category of beyond reason. We don't have reasons. And there are certain crises and illness that you can't reason with. You cannot. You cannot reason with an illness, you cannot reason with a crisis, and you cannot reason with a trauma. They are none of them reasonable. None of them. You can look and say, well, what about me? That's just what you said. You wanted all of us to know that. So you had a reason to tell all of us that. What was your reason?
I need help.
Okay. So what you're saying is you need help. What kind of help do you need?
I need the tools to continue forward.
Okay. So the types of traumas that happen that are not reasonable, like illness, always we think we can reason with these things. We think that we can turn to God or we can turn to anything and say, there must be a reason. There's got to be a reason these things happen as they do. And then we think the reason's going to drop out of the sky. Or that a letter's going to show up. Or that something's just going to happen that's going to spell out why these things happened. But that doesn't happen. This off-planet God doesn't work that way. All right? That's just not the way it works. All right? And yet, after we get past that, in some bizarre way that I cannot explain, reason begins to unfold. When you give up the need for a logical reason, a mystical one starts to unfold. A mystical one. It's like we have to get past the rage reasons, and you get past and you slowly, a different level of reason begins to unfold where you have to say, this is the mystical surrender. I don't know why this happened, and I have to give up the need to know why. I will never know why. And that has to be good enough. I can make up a reason, but I'm going to tell you I'm making it up. The truth is, you will never know why. Never. So the next stage is, I have to accept this. And number two, I never will. Both are true. And they have to coexist. I have to accept it. I never will. Both are true. And they coexist. One day you accept it, one day you don't. One day you do, one day you don't. It's beyond reason that both can coexist, and you know what? They do and they will.
Thank you, because you talked about facing your truths, so the truth is they coexist.
They coexist.
I will and I won't. Okay.
I
thank
will
you.
and I won't. Some days I do, some days I don't. Don't make it a goal to be what it cannot be, which is okay, and I accept it. No, you don't, and you won't. And some days you will, and some days you won't, and that's the way it will be.
Thank you.
Okay? Okay. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Carolyn, I've heard you say, get out of the cemeteries and the graveyards, and that's really helped me put things, or try to put things behind me, the old things that don't help anymore. It made me really see that. And you talk now about going into your shadow, and I wonder if that's about staying conscious with yourself, being conscious, being aware, being in the now. Is that a way into that place of healing, that part of yourself?
You mean in going into your shadow?
Well, yeah, you talked about the different parts of yourself, the shadow side, was it the active shadow?
Yeah.
The ego.
Is that about healing?
It is about healing.
Yeah, right, yeah.
It is one of the ways into
Yes.
that staying
It
conscious.
it is very much part of the ways we heal, and why I so deeply believe that is that what all of us, what a human being has to do, is confront why healing frightens them, why truth frightens them. The ingredients of healing are not what did I do wrong, but why does truth scare me? The ingredients of healing, we have set it up so that we think what the ingredient of healing is. What did I do wrong? When in fact the ingredient is, what is the truth? What do I need to see clearly? What truth do I need to bring? What is illumination? Illuminate me. So instead of looking deeply and more clearly, we look to our history and to who hurt us, as if that crime-solving mission, which only increases self-righteousness and rage, has the potency to heal an illness, which it does not. Truth, which flushes out rage and makes a person just humble and transitional, that is what heals. Not going backwards and beating pillows and saying, that person did this to me. That will never heal anybody, ever. Never. Maybe someone sees something I don't, but I've never seen it heal. Not in my 25 years. I've seen it make someone say, finally. But beat a cancer, make eyesight come back, not in my job, not in my time in earth school. I've never seen it. Never. And I don't think I ever will. When someone looks in the other direction and says, reveal to me what I need to just take anything. You put yourself on that inner altar with absolutely no restrictions. You don't tell God. That inner self, you say just whatever you need. What do I need? And that illumination, which just strips you of just what truth do I need to see clearly. Not show me who hurt me so you can just rev up your rage and go bash them and make yourself feel better. But rather, just let me let them go. Let me let them go. Just let me get more light. Just give me more light and truth. Just make me more loving. Love. Down it like some kind of...
And humility.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Anyone else? Yeah. Yeah, I'll be right there. Yeah.
I wanted to ask about healing. You said that there's no reason for healing. Does that mean we have no
There's
control?
no reason for healing. Did I say that?
Yes.
No.
Oh, sorry, for illness, sorry.
Oh,
No
phew.
reason for illness.
No, I don't think I said there's no reason for illness. No.
So that lady over there, you were saying there's no reason
no.
for...
No, there's reasons for illness. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, but my question was really, do we have choice? I mean, how much choice do we have?
Choice is a funny thing. We've exaggerated ourselves. Like that silly book, The Secret, which should be on book burning list. And the publisher in me finds the very idea of burning a book to be a travesty, but not in that case. How much choice do we have? I think we have the choice to do things like judge or not judge. I think we have the choice to do minor things, okay? But we have such a small little itsy-bitsy scale of what truth is. First of all, we take every event at face value, and we cannot, it's impossible for us to hold an event here tonight, this event right here, and have you any concept of how this event is a part of events yet to come in your life? Do you? 5 years from now? June 10th, 2014. What's this got to do with that date? Okay, I'll make it easy. March 2009, March 1st. I brought it up a notch. You have no idea, do you? So how much choice do you have? How wide is your screen? How wide is the screen of your life? Okay, I'll make it easy. How much did what happened December 23rd, 2003 have to do with what happened tonight? And the choices you made that night? Oops, we forgot. So how wide is your screen? Oh, we don't know about those choices. Oops, they slipped. Oops, they forgot. So those choices you didn't remember? Oh, so we don't know how many choices we made. So how much choice do you have? A lot, a little, micro, macro, which ones count? Just the ones you make when we're actively visualizing. I see. Oops. Have I made my point? How much choice do you have? Or everything? Is it everything or none? Is it, where is it? What choice? What map? What map do you want? The map that's attached to everything or the map that's attached to nothing? Which one do you want? Because they're both active. It depends which one you can bear to look at. Now that's the difference between looking at what's true and what's truth. What's truth is you're attached to all, but you can't hold that in your head. That's the macro. It's such a big truth. It's blinding. So you say, don't show that to me. I'll give you another one. How many people do you love versus how much are you capable of loving? Try that question out. Let me think. How many people do you love? Time's up. Can't answer that one. Okay, how's this one? How many are you capable of loving? Question, everybody. How many are you capable of loving? Oh, you think so? Okay. And how many people do you love, Miss Everyone? Who's my Miss Everyone? Where did you go? Okay, thank you. Oh, you are a devil, darling. Okay, Miss Everyone. How many do we love? Let's play ball, Scarecrow. How many do we love? Ballpark me.
Depending on the mood, I think, really. It's true.
Oh, now that she has
It's
a microphone.
True. It's true.
Yes.
In the moment.
It always is.
In the moment.
In the moment, in the hour, in the day, in the year.
It's true.
Pick a number. Time's up.
20, 30, 40.
I'm talking about to you. I'm talking about you, your life. Pick a number. How many people do you love? Time's up.
10.
Pick a number. 10. Okay, so you love 10 people in your whole life. Wow, okay. You go, girl. All right, 10 people. Wow, okay. And how many are you really capable of loving? Come on, pick another number.
10 times that?
10 times that. So now we're up to 100. Hold it. Boom. Stop. We've peaked. Now then, you're good because you're honest. You're good. You're honest. Now, the truth is, not true, the truth, is that if you had a real top-notch, hardcore, major league mystical experience tonight, if in theory, I'm being absolutely serious, something happened tonight, like a visitation of one of the angels that got Teresa of Avila. She wrote about this in the 6th mansion of the interior castle. She said, an angel visited me tonight. I'm not sure what realm it was from. It didn't identify itself. But it shot an arrow into me, pierced with flame. And the pain is indescribable, she said. Again and again it pierced me. She collapsed from it. It opened her heart. The heart of the sacred, or what is known in Catholicism as the Sacred Heart. The heart of the sacred. To love the size of the cosmos, to have the love of the sacred, or the cosmic heart, pierce you. And to find you have the capacity to love humanity and to feel the sorrow of humanity slip into your heart through the back door and hear their voices say, pray for me, I'm collapsing in grief. And you feel that. And you can barely breathe because for the first time, you actually care as if those children were actually your son or daughter clinging to you in your lap. And you think, good God, get them out of my heart. And then you hear this voice that says, it's too late. Carry that. And the door shuts. And you think, I can't do this. And then you know what the mystic says when, dear God, this pain is too great, but the love is so deep. And you think, is there really such, where is this love floating? Where is this? And you realize you're actually breathing it. You simply can't see it. It's just there. It's there. The bar is that high. It's really there. It's just like that. It's just like that. And that, it's just that away. Like that. So you think, do we have choice? The choice is as simple as, I wonder if I could handle thinking in terms of love or thinking in terms of separation. Where is my choice? Which word do I want in my lens? Do I want love or separation? Which one? That's where you have choice.